Guys, 2024 had some of the wildest and most insane moments. So from Nike lawsuits to StockX admitting they're selling you fakes, here are all of the craziest things that happened this year. January started off pretty slow. This usually happens because most of the big brands have already dropped everything during the holiday season. But this 17-year-old Australian kid was busy counting cash, because he sold a man $30,000 worth of fake sneakers and got away with it. The man who bought these shoes thought he was getting a steal buying a bunch of Jordan 1 Dior collaborations amongst others. But when he eventually came to the realization that these things were fake, he did what most people would do and contacted the seller. And the kid obviously ghosted him. Down to his last resort, he took the kid to court. But you know what they told him? He has no legal case because the seller was only 17-year-old, thus not legally able to enter into a contract. Craziest part is that if this deal just went down a couple months after, when this kid was 18, this would have been a very different story. Meanwhile, also at the beginning of this year, Nike was hard at work trying to find out who the hell has been stealing all of their product. Since 2022, Nike has been getting slammed with different organized crime attacks on their supply chain. Basically, people had been figuring out where Nike's shoes are in their supply chain, whether it be warehouses, cargo ships, and they basically just went in and robbed them. But January 27th, the LAPD raided a warehouse in California and found $5 million worth of sneakers all just sat there. Now, they did actually manage to arrest a guy, but robberies have still been going on since, so I guess they didn't catch them all. Over to February, the sneaker game really started to heat up at this point with a lot of bigger releases on the horizon. One big one that dropped in February was of course the Jordan 4 Bread Reimagined. Sneaker of the year for me. Nike also signed Kai Cenat, which is a pretty historical moment. Kai being a live streamer and not the typical Nike signee, which is usually athletes or rappers, it definitely made history. Speaking of rappers, Kanye West was back from wherever the hell he normally vanishes to, this time making a lot of noise about Adidas releasing more Yeezy sneakers. See, in February, Adidas announced that they were going to be dropping a lot of these Yeezys they had left in their warehouses from the whole failed collaboration. Kanye was not happy. He took to IG and literally called them out, saying that they are selling fake sneakers, specifically the 350 steel grays. He also said anybody who loves him would not buy these shoes. So this actually seemed to work because this steel gray 350 actually sat on shelves and didn't sell out like Yeezys normally would. Now, if things weren't crazy enough, Donald Trump decided to show up to SneakerCon and launch his very own pair of shoes. And it was called the Never Surrender Highs, which I'm not gonna lie, looks straight out of the AliExpress catalog. And finally, February marked the most expensive Jordans ever sold. It was a pack of 6 championship-worn sneakers which sold for $8 million. Moving over to March, and things started to kind of settle down just a little bit. Except for Adidas, because at this point, they were still dumping Yeezys out everywhere. I mean, they had so many pairs that quite a few different models actually were selling out, unlike the pair that Kanye called fake. They would do these drops week by week all through the Adidas Confirmed app. But interestingly, at the exact same time, Kanye West was releasing the competitor, an actual pair of shoes by him. And this was, of course, the Yeezy Pods. This was a sock shoe that retailed for $200, at least at the start. Like literally a week later, he announced that they dropped the price to $20 and actually sold $5 million worth of these things. The people obviously had very mixed opinions on these shoes. I mean, I tried them out and they're sock shoes. Oh yeah, and I'm not sure what happened to all of the people who paid $200 originally for this pair of sock shoes. I know I did, and the Yeezy team said that they would refund us all $180, but I never received it, so Kanye, where the hell my money at? April was a pretty historic month in the sneaker industry because Travis Scott got his first ever signature sneaker, the Jumpman Jacks. And yes, they were stupid limited, hardly anybody could get them, and ended up reselling for hundreds over the retail price. Nike also started dishing out lawsuits, Bape being the first one. This was a huge deal because Bape had been around from the 2000s, making look-alike Nikes and Jordans. And up until this point, Bape is like a household name, being endorsed by a bunch of celebrities and big corporations. So Nike turning around and suing them just seemed so random. It obviously worked because Nike and Bape settled, resulting in Bape having to discontinue the Bapester Mid and the Quartster. They also had to change a bunch of their other models to not look like Nikes anymore. Now, I'm not entirely sure how much Nike had to do with this, but Panda Buy got raided by the police, and they seized 200,000 fake sneakers, which obviously included a ton of fake Nikes and Jordans. Now, if you didn't know, Panda Buy is basically the go-to if anybody wants any fake luxury goods, sneakers, or anything like that. Basically acts as a middleman shopping agent connecting buyers to overseas sellers. Now, Panda Buy was so big that in 2023 alone, their revenue from counterfeit sales amounted to $5.7 billion. This involved more than 50 million pieces of counterfeit goods. During the course of this video, you'll understand Nike has been dishing out so many lawsuits this year, it's actually insane. Because also in the same month, they won their lawsuit against Omi and a Hellcat, another person who was ripping off Jordan sneakers. He was ordered to pay $8 million. Literally, lawsuits are Nike's side hustle this year. Moving over to May, and thankfully things settled down quite a lot this month. No more major lawsuits, no more crazy drama, but of course we had a pretty massive sneaker release, which was the return of the Jordan 4 Military Blue, another one of the best sneakers to drop this entire year. And also just in time for summer, Balenciaga decided to drop one of the biggest sneakers I have ever seen in my life, the 10XL. Short Kings rejoiced. We're now in June, and remember all of those Yeezys Adidas was trying to sell? Well, it wasn't going as well as they had initially thought. They actually had so many pairs that they kind of just stopped selling out, and Adidas was forced to heavily discount a lot of them. I mean, this was so unprecedented because since the collaboration started in 2015, we had never seen discounted Yeezys. To see a pair of 350s at 50% off on Adidas's website was initially pretty shocking. Travis Scott got arrested for disorderly intoxication and trespassing. This turned out to be actually a good thing for him because he sold some mugshot tees and I'm sure made a massive bag. Oh yeah, and Nike clearly wasn't busy enough counting their cash from all of the previous lawsuit dubs because they decided to put that on pause to start a lawsuit including 100 different fake sneaker sellers.
We are back, baby.
This was a massive lawsuit meticulously planned over the course of at least 1 or 2 years. They got private investigators to scour the internet, TikTok, and subreddits, searching for people selling fake shoes, and when these private investigators bought a pair and found out that it was fake, they just nabbed them. July was a summer to remember. Trump came back to sell a new pair of sneakers. This was shortly after he got shot on July the 13th. So naturally, he dropped the Fight, Fight, Fight Tims. Jordan 1 hype officially died with pairs selling under retail before they actually released. Nigel Sylvester and Jordan Brand launched the Jordan 4 RM, a brand new sneaker model to some degree. On Running launched one of the most futuristic shoes on the planet that uses 3D printing spray-on and robots to create the sneaker. And finally brought Flint Lockwood's invention to the real world. I hope he patented that idea. Who am I kidding? On is not Nike. They wouldn't start a lawsuit. And I'm not even joking, Nike started another lawsuit. This time going after one of their dear friends, the shoe surgeon. This one made the headlines because, well, not only is the shoe surgeon one of the biggest sneaker customizers on the planet, often using Nike and Jordans as his canvas, but he has actually worked with Nike in the past. They've paid him to make special shoes for different celebrities or different clients that are on their seating list. So he must have felt like he was stabbed in the back when Nike launched this lawsuit against him for $60 million. And I believe this lawsuit is still ongoing as we speak. Over to August now, and the sneaker leak game really started heating up. We got a lot of crazy news about all of the sneakers Jordan and Nike were planning to drop in 2025, one of the most anticipated being the Jordan 4 Undefeated collaboration coming back. Lego and Nike also announced their partnership for 2025, and if they drop bangers like all of these AI images, I'm in. A pair of storage hunters that make content on TikTok must have had one of the biggest W's for 2024 of all. They bought a storage unit which actually turned out to be Kanye West's personal storage unit. They found all kinds of drawings, clothing, sneakers, and music recording equipment. Safe to say, they probably don't have to do any more storage hunting after this one. Yeezy fired Steven Smith, one of the most decorated designers in the sneaker industry. He's made some of the most iconic sneakers on the planet, not just for Yeezy brand, but a bunch of others. Even the sneaker emoji on your iPhone is based off of one of his designs. Over to September, it seemed like the entire sneaker industry was celebrating when Nike's current CEO, John Donahoe, stepped down. He was replaced by Elliot Hill, and a lot of people blamed John for the lack of creativity that Nike has seen, their slumping sales, and also one of the largest downward spikes of their stock price ever. Michael Jordan had to sell his mansion at a huge loss. I mean, poor guy had been trying to shift this thing for like 11 years, first going on the market in 2013. The kicker is that he listed it for $29 million and only sold it for $9.5. But I mean, I'm sure he's doing just fine. Moving to October, and it was actually pretty quiet this month. And Nike was still doing controversial things. Thankfully, it wasn't a lawsuit this time. They announced that they were going to be working with Tom Sachs again. Now, this was controversial because if you didn't know, Tom Sachs was someone who made a lot of different sneakers with Nike until a bunch of allegations came out against him in his workplace. Nike quickly took a step back and canceled it until they decided to do a full 180. But that takes us into November, where Nike announced their much better received collaboration with Fortnite. And they've been steadily steadily releasing a bunch of in-game sneaker models across Jordan and Nike products. But just like in real life, you're also getting overcharged for those, because the Fortnite sneakers cost 1,000 V-Bucks, which a lot of users pointed out like that's the same price as an entire skin on Fortnite. Schools started banning Crocs because of their distracting gibbets that you can put in the holes, and apparently students were tripping over wearing them. Speaking of Crocs, guess who joined their team in November? Steven Smith, the former Yeezy designer that is now the head of creative innovation at Crocs. Nike released the Air Max 1000 sneaker at ComplexCon, which turned out to be one of the most innovative sneakers they have ever released. Their first ever fully 3D printed sneaker in collaboration with Zellerfeld. This was an absolute godsend for Nike because literally everybody has been complaining about the lack of innovation that this company has had throughout the entire year of 2024. So hopefully 2025 shapes up a little bit better for them. Oh yeah, and if 2024 couldn't get any crazier, AI can now authenticate your sneakers by smelling them. Oh, and it does this with 95% accuracy. Not a good sign for Nike if they're trying to get their lawsuit numbers up, although they still have plenty ongoing, like the biggest one with StockX.
Another one.
And this lawsuit between StockX and Nike actually brought some very interesting and alarming things to light, like the fact that StockX has basically admitted to selling fake sneakers on their platform. This was revealed in the court documents and got a lot of people worried about the purchases that they have made with StockX. That brings us to December, a fun time to spend with your friends and family over the holidays and basically just relax. Unless you're GOAT. Then you would have to pay $2 million in refunds to customers for misleading shipping times and refund policies. Balenciaga decided to end the year off with a full 180 on the world's largest shoe and decided to basically release what I can only describe as hardly a shoe. It's called the barefoot shoe and literally only attaches to your foot with your big toe and it's like an insult. It's basically nothing. Nike decided to shut down Artifact after acquiring them only a couple years ago and only having like a couple physical shoes from the NFT company that actually released. The world's most expensive shoes sold in December and it turned out to be a damn pair of slippers. And well, I mean, to be fair, it is a pretty iconic pair of slippers that happen to be Dorothy's from The Wizard of Oz, the worn ones. They sold for $32 million. And lastly, we pulled off the biggest giveaway on this channel to date, the Sneaky Sunday giveaway, basically giving away a pair of shoes every single week in the lead up to Christmas. And as you know, today is the final one, so we need to pick a winner. Alright guys, let's pick a winner for the final Sneaky Sunday giveaway. We got the little picker tool over here. And it's just going to be a random comment as long as you have your Instagram or X handle in there so I can actually contact you. And then you got 24 hours. And then I'm sending you out a pair of Zellerfeld slides. Let's see who wins. Okay, so we got a winner. Our winner is Johnny Blocks Clothing. Congrats, you just won yourself a pair of Zellerfeld Beluga slides. Let me know what you think was one of the craziest moments in 2024. I want to give a massive thank you to all of you for being a part of this channel during this year. It has been absolutely great. I hope you're having a great Christmas time, a great holiday season, and I'll see you in 2025.